If you really want to get a handle on where China's going under Xi Jinping, you've actually got to look backwards, at the ghost of a fallen superpower. Because what happened in Moscow more than 30 years ago is, and I'm not exaggerating here, maybe the single most important event shaping Beijing's playbook today.
All right, so let's jump right in with a question that, honestly, is a real head-scratcher. Think about it. In most countries, the army, they pledge allegiance to the nation, right? To the flag, the constitution. But China? Nope. They insist their military, the People's Liberation Army, must be loyal to the Communist Party first. So, why? It sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? But trust me, the answer to that question unlocks their entire playbook.
Okay, so what are we even talking about here? What's the real difference? Well, a national army, that's what most of us are used to, its job is to defend the country's borders, protect the people. A party army, though, its number one mission is totally different. It's all about making sure the ruling party stays in power. See, for them, the biggest threat isn't some foreign invader, it's the whole thing collapsing from the inside. And that distinction, it's everything.
So, to figure this all out, we're not going to be looking at modern China. Not at first, anyway. Instead, we need to hop in a time machine and go back to the last chaotic days of the Soviet Union. Because the fall of that empire, that's the event that really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about.
And just as a quick reminder, think about how fast this all went down. In 1985, Gorbachev starts his reforms. Just 4 years later, boom, the Berlin Wall comes crashing down. And then, by Christmas of 1991, the Soviet Union is gone, officially just ceases to exist. Now, imagine you're in China's leadership watching this on TV. It must have felt like a complete horror movie.
Okay, but here's the twist. This is where things get super interesting, because China's leaders looked at that exact same collapse and they came to a completely different conclusion than basically everyone in the West about what actually went wrong.
Right. So the story we usually hear in the West is pretty simple. The Soviet Union collapsed because its economy was a wreck. It just couldn't keep up. But that is not the lesson Xi Jinping took from it. Not at all. For him, the real killer wasn't a lack of rubles, it was a lack of belief. A total collapse of ideology, of discipline, of political will.
So you see, the main takeaway for them wasn't about economics. From Beijing's point of view, the Soviet Communist Party basically rotted from the inside. It got soft, its organization just fell apart, it let the army slip from its grasp, and, this is a big one, it completely lost control of its own story.
And that diagnosis, that very specific way of looking at the Soviet collapse, led to a very specific set of cures. You could say China has spent decades systematically building a strategy that is designed to be the perfect antidote to every single one of those Soviet failures.
All right, let's break it down. Soviet failure number one, in their eyes, the military. The conclusion in Beijing was that a huge, maybe fatal, mistake was letting the Soviet army become nationalized. What that means is its loyalty started shifting away from the party and towards the state. And that created a power center that the party couldn't control.
So China's response to that? It's been swift, direct, and absolutely uncompromising. Xi has personally taken charge of restructuring the PLA, making sure there are party committees embedded at every single level. Just to leave no doubt about who's calling the shots, the PLA is the party's army, period. And that right there, that's the answer to the puzzle we started with.
Okay, Soviet failure number two, ideology. The thinking goes that Soviet leaders just got, politically soft. They lost their ideological discipline. They stopped really believing in the system, and that weakness just created this slippery slope that led straight to collapse.
And China's cure for that? It's all captured in this one, really powerful idea. The party must lead everything. We're talking everything from schools and businesses to entertainment and, of course, the military. There is just no room for ideological wiggle room. This is their ultimate defense against that internal rot.
Which brings us to Soviet failure number three, losing control of the narrative. From Xi's point of view, Gorbachev's whole policy of glasnost, or openness, was an absolute catastrophe. Why? Because it let foreign ideas and internal criticism run wild, and that just completely destroyed the party's authority and its control over its own history.
And China's prescription for that? Well, it could not be more of a 180-degree turn. Instead of openness, they built the Great Firewall. The whole goal is to be the ultimate gatekeeper of information, to block out those foreign narratives, and to make absolutely sure that the party's version of events is the only one you hear.
And this strategy, it isn't just digital, it's physical too. I mean, take the Yunming Yuan garden in Beijing. This place was destroyed by foreign armies, and they've left it in ruins on purpose. It's meant to be a physical scar, a national wound, that serves as a constant nagging reminder of what happens when China is weak and divided. So you see, when you lay it all out like this, the pattern is just undeniable. For every single thing they saw as a weakness in the Soviet Union, there's a direct, powerful, and very deliberate Chinese countermove. It's a playbook written chapter and verse in response to watching another empire die.
So what's the endgame here? What is the ultimate point of all this? Why go to such lengths to build this incredible system of control over the military, over ideas, and over the national story itself?
Well, it all boils down to one thing, a single objective. Every military reform, every ideological campaign, every brick in that great firewall, it's all in service of one overarching goal: preserving the unity of the state and the absolute power of the party, whatever it takes.
And look, it's really important to get this. This isn't just about grabbing power for the sake of it. At its heart, this is about survival. It's a strategy born from a deep, profound fear of collapse. It's designed to stop the country from splintering, to wall off outside ideas, and above all else, to make sure that what happened to the Soviet Union never, ever happens to China.
So in the end, that's what you're seeing. This constant dance between military loyalty, the muscle, narrative control, the mind, and historical memory, the motivation. That's the formula. That's the bedrock of China's entire national security strategy today.
And all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. When your entire political system, your whole security strategy is built as a reaction, a defense against the ghost of another empire's failure, can you truly forge your own unique path forward? Or are you forever defined by the past you're trying to avoid? That right there is the question that's going to define China for a long, long time.